Hey you guys, so I'm coming at you with another video in my MVRCK series. On today, I kind of want to talk about SJW, Social Justice Warriors, what it is, what it came from, what are we going to do about it, and will it ever go away? So let's get into it. Alright, cool. So before I begin in all of my discussions, a little housekeeping here. So one, thank you to the Asian Hustle Network and all to the new subscribers subscribing to this channel. Thank you so much as we're helping and supporting each other. It's great. So we're helping each other making content and talking about each other's content. So again, thank you to the Asian Hustle Network and those who help me support my channel. So thank you. Secondly, behind me, as you can see, I am still procrastinating with all the clutter behind me. So let me know some ideas you have in mind. I have ideas of putting some side corner lamps, a bookshelf, maybe two, and then obviously a gallery wall. Obviously I wanted to make it presentable, so if you have ideas, go ahead and let me know. If you are new to this channel, my name is Mitch. Hey Mitch, MVRCK, Mitch, all the whatever Mitch is. And pretty much I talk about current events, reviews, and pop culture within the scope of entertainment, culture, and purpose. So check out those reviews as well as my other videos as well, talking about like Marvel's Safe Space and Snowflake, or if you want to talk about like Red Sun, or if you just want to talk about like politics. So let's go into that too. And then again, onto that point, please share, like, and subscribe. At least like and subscribe, because I am trying to build my channel, and that only helps if you are helping me out. So I greatly appreciate if you can do a comment below, as it helps build the algorithm to help other people find my channel. So please share and do that as you are finishing this video, and then again, check out my other videos as well. Okay, so if you're watching this, obviously you're trying to figure out what the hell is SJW, Social Justice Warriors. A lot of people, you might have heard other people talk about it, throw it out, and if you see my videos, I talked about Marvel's New Warriors, Snowflake, and Safe Space in SJW terms, and also like Gotham High and how it's taken over by SJWs, and you might have heard it and all this stuff. And so you're trying to probably wondering, why is this being thrown around? So before I begin, let me just say that this is more of a conversation, and in no way am I going to be some expert, subject matter expert talking about, well, this is this, and you know, that stuff. And like, no, this is a conversation, me knowing what I know through YouTube and me having conversations with other people, just like another layman's version of talking about SJW. So don't be like this is the exact same term. So just let's put out there, okay? So social justice warrior, you know, it sounds good. You know, in the larger scheme of things, it is good. You know, it is talking about the injustices that we face as people, as we go through. So whether it's the Civil Rights Act or whether it's marriage equality, some of these topics are good to talk about and progress as we are going into, you know, bettering ourselves, right? The problem comes when these SJWs is now being co-opted by a religion, essentially, leftist ideology, and being weaponized. A great example is Antifa, anti-fascist. It sounds great, you know, like we all want to be anti-fascist. You know, fascism led to Nazi Germany, right? And obviously we would never want that to happen again. Now, it becomes a problem when the anti-fascist, Antifa, becomes the fascist. You know, they are now labeling anyone who disagrees with them as Nazis. They are labeling people like Ben Shapiro, a devout Orthodox Jew, a Nazi just because it goes against their narrative. And now it becomes a problem again, well, especially Antifa, because they're becoming physically violent, but it becomes a problem when it's being weaponized and changing what it was originally, you know? One idiom or adage or proverb or whatever you want to call it is something that I like to gravitate towards, is like the pathway to hell is laid with good intentions. And that speaks volumes, because obviously you want to do some good and there is some good intentions, but it leads to somewhere that is often co-opted by something else, you know? Like the people who wanted communism had something good in mind, you know, but it led to something horrible. And so for this SJW kind of falls in that same category, because it all intersects, and appropriately it falls under intersectionality too. So when it comes to intersectionality and Marxism and socialism and leftist ideology, it kind of all blends together. And if you watch Jordan Peterson, it kind of makes sense. But like when it comes down to like, especially like Marxism, it's almost as biblical as Cain and Abel. You know, you have the have and have-nots. You have people who have who are blessed by God by their own accordance, right? And you have this level of Cain level resentment that is going against the narrative. And that's kind of like when it comes down to all of this SJW narrative, is that they built this religion against the cis white male and privilege and everything, and they want to break it down, and they want to insert their narrative into what they feel is oppressive, right? And those and that's a really generalization of everything, but it rings true. So next, I want to bring up Joe Rogan and his conversation with Brett Weinstein as far as how this all kind of came together, especially around the 2014 era, right?
2014. It all starts in 2014. Most of your listeners have heard about safe spaces, microaggressions, bias response teams, trigger warnings, all that stuff. That stuff didn't exist before 2014. It just begins creeping in then, and then it kind of blows up in 2015. University faculty, who've always leaned left throughout the 20th century, but it was only a lean. And in the 90s, it begins shifting much further left, so that now faculties, especially in the social sciences and humanities, are pretty purified. They're overwhelmingly on the left. So you have a more left-leaning university at a time when left-right hostility is getting more and more intense. And so any question that has a political valence, now there's a lot more people who want to do the football game. Not the truth-seeking game, but that we got to defeat the other side. Don't give me nuance. Don't give me data. We know what we believe, and damn it, we're going to, So, and God, this is a whole nother area conversation for us, but we basically took away free play and gave them social media. The same, basically kids who were born in 1995 and after, Gen Z, they had really different childhoods, and they're not as prepared for conflict and college. We'll get into that later. But you put all these things together, you get kids who are much more anxious and fragile, much more depressed, coming onto campus at a time of much greater political activism. And now these grievance studies ideas about America as a matrix of oppression and look at the world in terms of good versus evil, it's more appealing to them. And it's that minority of students, they're the ones who are initiating a lot of the movements.
So as you see, everything in this SJW stuff was just amplified through social media and in how it was inserted itself into academia and then obviously into the students, and then again through social media that is propagating it. And like again through outrage culture and everything, it comes from this idea that you want to do some good, but you just end up doing more harm than good. The one best case example would probably be Star Wars. Obviously there's other things that involve this, like whether it's like the new Ghostbusters or like a lot of things on the CW, or like and even going into again like the MCU a little bit too, but like Hollywood in general and then entertainment, right? And so okay, so again, using Star Wars as pretty much a good reference is like they introduce Finn, a black stormtrooper who is actually force sensitive by the end of the movie, but they didn't explore it. And so there's a problem right there. And so you are putting your narrative in front of the story, right? And obviously I've spoken about Rey and how that's problematic and how that already destroys the canon, because they use they brought out Palpatine, and that wasn't originally the idea, and then she can use force abilities, and you're breaking canon and you're breaking universe, and it's no longer caring about the story and what makes the universe good. It is essentially just bad storytelling, bad fan fiction, in which what the whole essentially Mary Sue is. Again, you could have told a story in which, again, we can go into a billion other things of how the story could have worked better, but I kind of like the idea, like, what if Rey was essentially built in a Sith academy, and she went to the Jedi Academy, whatever, and then Luke races her mind, and that's how she knows how to do what she can do. And that's the point into all that. She is given everything without weaknesses, and it's just bad character development. And then you're throwing in other characters like Admiral Holdo instead of just highlighting previous characters like Admiral Akbar, right? And you have Rose Tico that no one cared for. You have all these other characters that you just throw in, and it just again becomes problematic. And then going into the Rise of Skywalker, again, you were just inserting the narrative on top of the Rise of Skywalker wasn't as bad. But the idea that Rey takes over the Skywalker name is essentially the premise of all of this. It's a takeover of what has been done before. Not necessarily caring for what has done before, just taking it over, using the properties that is already established, because it is go against whatever you want, and you're just pushing your agenda. And that's what a lot of people have a problem with. All right, now will all of this like go away? How do we deal with this, and why am I so hung up on this? I think maybe, I don't know how things work, but I think it might. The SJW narrative might slow down or back away, because we have heard the adage, you know, like go woke or broke. And if people in the higher ups are seeing that this is no longer viable, that this is a business that no one is really attaining for, because this was the idea, like people, they look at stats and they look at Twitter, they look at what people want, but this is not necessarily what people want, right? And then people have inserted themselves into these businesses saying like this is what people want, when this is not what people want. And so, and I also think that this whole crisis that we're going through, right? Particular cough thing. Okay, so I need to say cough because if I say a word, I think my views go down and my algorithm goes down. But anyway, that's just a thing. So you know what I mean when I say cough. Anyway, so yes, I think this, like hitting it in the movies and everything, I think it might be detrimental. You know, people are probably going to spend their money more wisely and pick what they really focus on, because when it comes to the SJWs, they don't really support the fandom, right? And they're never satisfied, and that goes into the whole Marvel safe space and Snowflake, right? They're still they're arguing it. It's never satisfying them, and that's kind of funny in itself, that there's no satisfying these people, and they're not even your fandom to begin with. So it's a really bad marketing like audience that you're trying to appease to, right? Anyway, so I do think this little crisis that we're going through may autocorrect the business, right? And so we'll see. I don't know. That's just a prediction. We'll see how things progress, right? Okay, so on the surface, it is very minimal. It's not like huge, but when it comes to all of this, right? So culture is downstream from politics, politics is downstream from religion, and this is a religion. Leftist ideology is a religion, right? And so when it comes down to it, I think when it comes to movies and entertainment and TVs and all that stuff, I think people are more willing to be like, okay, whatever, maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't. And there's such a consumer level that like we are willing to not watch or not purchase or consume this. So like on the consumer level, it seems like you can purchase this as you may or may not want, and it seems very minimal, and it doesn't seem like it affects things. I don't think the SJ, like, well, I mean, there is a level in which it is inserted itself into politics, right? Because you have folks like AOC and all that stuff. But anyway, like you have the higher level, which I don't think you can really focus on, right? But there's a mid-level within like academia and like school boards and even small businesses, you know, like in which it serves itself. And I think that's where the problem is, right? And so very much less, when it comes to me analyzing this, I'm very less concerned about what it does to like movies and TVs and all this stuff, because some of it is palpable, right? Some of it you can see the levels of it, but it's like, okay, whatever, I'm willing to look past it, right? But again, I think it becomes a problem when you're inserting it itself into like everyday life and all that stuff, and it just becomes problematic, and a lot of people are getting turned off by it, right? I mean, you know, it's 2020. We'll see how this progresses and moves forward, because this is relatively new. If all of this has been propagated through social media apps and everything, and it started like 2014 era, we don't know how it evolves, right? We are only seeing maybe the highlight of it, seeing that this is what if it begins there, and then people are like, oh, this is what people want, and then now that we are being more vocal, like this is definitely not what we want. Maybe there's going to be a pushback, because I mentioned in my other videos, being conservative is counterculture, and maybe they'll realize that, and people are going to start pushing back. So we'll only see, and time will only tell, and maybe this whole crisis, cough crisis that we're going through may be affected in the future. So we'll see how all of this progresses. So thank you for listening to my rant. thank you for listening to my rant. Thank you for watching the video. Let me know what you think. Let me know, has this affect you in whether it's a small way, big way, whatever way. What fandoms do you like that are being affected that I haven't really mentioned, or that you feel like are touching it? Because the SJWs are going under the Lano Lakes, you know, butter, you know, not even butter is safe, you know. And so all of this is touching on other items, and so just let me know what you think. And yeah, comment below, tell me what you think, and thanks for watching. You can follow me at my Instagram at HeyMitchMitch. You can also follow my joint Instagram at It's Mandatory Fun, where I do other videos with my friend Jen. And yeah, again, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Peace, peace, peace. And be with you. Yeah, finished!
Fading it too slowly, were those gonna lift me up this time? You were the only